The quality of your life is a direct reflection of the standards you set for yourself. Think about it. Why do some people seem to rise effortlessly while others remain stuck in the same cycle year after year? Is it talent? Is it luck? Or is it connections? No. The difference lies in one thing, and that is their standards. Your standards shape your habits, your mindset, and ultimately your future. If you set low standards for yourself, life will never demand more from you. If you accept mediocrity in your health, career, relationships, or finances, that's exactly what you'll get. But the moment you decide, enough is enough, everything changes. Success isn't about grand gestures or overnight transformations. It's about refusing to settle for less than you're capable of. It's about setting new rules for yourself. Rules that push you to be better, think bigger, and demand more from life. Because here's the truth. You don't get what you want. You get what you're willing to accept. If you want to achieve more, grow more, and live more, you must raise your standards. You must change what you tolerate. You must set a new baseline for what's acceptable in your life. And once you do, life will start responding in ways you never imagined. Today I'm going to show you how to raise your standards and transform your life with a few simple but powerful principles. Stay with me for the next few minutes as I break down the fundamental laws of success that will change your life forever. Let's dive in. Number 1, you get what you plant. Life operates on fundamental laws, and one of the most powerful is the law of sowing and reaping. What you put in is what you get out. But with one important detail, you don't just get back what you put in, you get back much more. This is true in every area of life. Your mindset, your health, your relationships, your career. Every action you take, every habit you build, every decision you make is a seed being planted. And whether you realize it or not, those seeds will eventually grow into something, either a harvest of success or a field of regret. Imagine a farmer preparing his land. He doesn't just wish for crops to grow. He plants seeds, nurtures them, and waits patiently. He understands that if he plants wheat, he won't get corn. If he plants nothing, he gets nothing. But here's the key. When he plants one seed, he doesn't just get back one seed, he gets a full harvest. That's how life works. Small, consistent actions create massive results over time. But this law is not biased. It works both positively and negatively. If you plant discipline, you will harvest success. If you plant laziness, you will harvest failure. You cannot plant weeds and expect flowers to grow. Too many people expect life to reward them without first making the investment. They want wealth without developing financial discipline. They want strong relationships without putting in effort. They want success without putting in the work. But the law of sowing and reaping does not allow shortcuts. You can't cheat the process. You must plant before you can harvest. Now here's another truth. Sometimes, even when you do everything right, the harvest doesn't come. The farmer plants his crop, waters it, takes care of it, but a sudden storm can destroy everything. This happens in life too. You work hard, you stay disciplined, you do the right things, but circumstances outside your control can knock you down. That's where most people give up. They say, what's the point? I did everything right, and I still failed. But the true winners understand that failure is just part of the process. They don't stop planting because of one bad season. They don't let setbacks define their future. They keep going. You see, the odds are in your favor. The law of averages tells us that more often than not, if you keep planting, you will reap a harvest. There are no guarantees in life, but the odds are on the side of those who persist. It's like flipping a coin. You might get tails a few times in a row, but if you keep flipping, heads will eventually come. The key is to stay in the game long enough for the odds to work in your favor. This is where most people fail. Not because they lack ability, but because they quit too soon. They start planting the right seeds, but stop when they don't see immediate results. They expect overnight success. But nature doesn't work that way. Growth takes time. Success takes time. A tree doesn't grow overnight, and neither does your success. You must stay committed to the process. So ask yourself, what are you planting in your life right now? Are you planting seeds of discipline, hard work, and continuous learning? Or are you planting seeds of procrastination, excuses, and negativity? Your future will be determined by the seeds you plant today. You cannot expect a life of success if you keep planting seeds of mediocrity. If you want more, you must demand more from yourself. The law of sowing and reaping is one of the most powerful truths in life. It is fair, it is unforgiving, and it is non-negotiable. It does not care about your background, your excuses, or your circumstances. It simply says, you will reap what you sow. And once you fully understand this, once you take full responsibility for what you are planting, you unlock the true power to create any future you desire. So starting today, raise your standards. Be intentional with your actions. Plant the right seeds and keep planting, even when the results don't show up immediately. Because if you do, the harvest will come. And when it does, it will be far greater than you ever imagined. Number 2, the law of averages. Success in life is not a mystery. It follows a predictable pattern. Those who win understand one of the most fundamental principles of achievement, and that is the law of averages. Simply put, the more times you take action, the more chances you have to succeed. The problem is, most people give up too soon because they don't realize that results are a numbers game. They take a few shots, face rejection or failure, and decide it's not worth the effort. But those who persist, those who keep trying, eventually win, not because they're the most talented, but because they understand how the law of averages works in their favor. Let's take an example. Imagine you're new to sales, and you approach 10 people about your product. 9 say no, and only 1 says yes. Most people would look at that and think, 1 out of 10, that's terrible. But here's what the successful person understands, that 1 yes is predictable. It follows a pattern. If you talk to 10 more people, you're likely to get another yes. Keep going. And the results become even more predictable. The law of averages tells us that if you do something often enough, a consistent ratio will emerge. And the more you do it, the better you get. The ratio improves not by magic, but because repetition sharpens your skills. Now, this principle doesn't just apply to sales. It applies to every area of life. Want to improve your public speaking? The more speeches you give, the better you get. Want to get in great shape? The more workouts you complete, the stronger and fitter you become. Want to build better relationships? The more effort you put into communication and connection, the more meaningful bonds you create. It's all a numbers game. But here's where most people get stuck. They assume failure is a sign to stop. They take rejection personally. They hear no a few times and decide they aren't good enough. They try a new business, face obstacles, and quit before they give it a real chance. But the truth is, failure is just part of the process. Every no brings you closer to a yes. Every rejection is just a step toward the right opportunity. The problem is, most people never stick around long enough to let the law of averages work in their favor. Let's look at baseball. A great player doesn't hit the ball every time he swings. Even the best hitters in history miss more than they hit. A batting average of .300 means they only get a hit 3 times out of 10. But that's enough to be considered elite. Imagine if those players quit after a few missed swings. They'd never reach greatness. The same applies to life. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep swinging. Now let's take it one step further. What happens when you work harder than everyone else? Let's go back to our sales example. If you only close 1 out of 10 deals, but you talk to 100 people instead of 10, now you have 10 yeses instead of just 1. That's how winners operate. They don't rely on luck or talent. They outwork the competition. If their skill level is low, they make up for it with sheer volume. They know that if they stay in the game long enough, success is inevitable. But here's the exciting part. The law of averages can improve over time. At first, you might only succeed 1 out of 10 times. But as you gain experience, develop skills, and learn from mistakes, your ratio improves. Soon, you're closing 2 out of 10, then 3, then 4. You're hitting more home runs, making more connections, closing more deals. Your success multiplies because you stayed in the game long enough to improve your odds. And this is where raising your standards becomes crucial. Most people set their standards too low. They try something a few times, don't see instant results, and decide it's not for them. But if you raise your standards, if you commit to playing the long game, you position yourself for massive success. Winners don't dabble, they go all in. They understand that life rewards persistence, not perfection. So what does this mean for you? It means you need to take more swings. Whatever goal you have, whether it's improving your finances, getting healthier, or building a successful business, you must take consistent. You must keep showing up, keep learning, and keep refining your approach. The results won't come overnight, but they will come. If you stay in the game, think about it. How many times have you given up too soon? How many opportunities have you missed because you stopped just before the breakthrough? Success is not reserved for the lucky. It is reserved for the relentless. Starting today, raise your standards. Commit to taking more action. Accept that failure is part of the journey. And most importantly, trust the law of averages. If you do something enough times, success is inevitable. Keep swinging, keep showing up. And one day you'll look back and realize that every rejection, every failure, and every setback was just another step toward victory. Number 3. The law of faith. Faith is one of the most powerful forces in the world. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, and every transformation begins with someone believing in something before it exists. The problem is, most people only believe in what they can see. They wait for proof before they act. And as a result, they never take the necessary steps to create the life they truly want. The law of faith is simple. You must see it in your mind before you can create it in reality. Take a look around. Every building, every invention, every success story started as an idea, an unseen vision in someone's mind. Before the airplane existed, someone believed humans could fly. Before the first car hit the road, someone envisioned a world without horse-drawn carriages. Before any championship was won, before any great business was built, before any dream was realized, someone had faith. Faith that it was possible, even when no one else could see it. But here's the challenge. Faith requires courage. It's easy to believe when the results are obvious, when the path is clear, and when success seems inevitable. But real faith is believing even when everything around you tells you otherwise. It's seeing possibilities where others see obstacles. It's trusting the process, even when nothing seems to be working. That's what separates those who succeed from those who remain stuck. Faith is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without it, you'll never take the first step. Now, faith is not just about blind optimism. It doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending problems don't exist. Faith starts with seeing things as they are. No sugarcoating, no exaggeration. If your finances are a mess, acknowledge it. If your health is deteriorating, accept it. If your career is stagnant, be honest about it. You must see it as it is. But here's where faith takes over. Once you see things as they are, you must then see them better than they are. This is where most people get stuck. They see their problems and assume they're permanent. They define themselves by their current circumstances instead of their potential. But faith allows you to look beyond your current reality and visualize something greater. It allows you to say, yes, things are tough right now, but this is not where my story ends. Faith is the ability to close your eyes and see yourself healthier, wealthier, more successful, more fulfilled, even before there's any proof that it's possible. But seeing it is not enough. Faith alone does nothing without action. You must make it better than it is. This is where most people fail. They love the idea of dreaming big, but they never follow through. They get inspired, but they don't take the necessary steps to turn their faith into reality. Faith without action is just wishful thinking. You can dream of financial freedom all you want, but if you don't if you don't change your habits, if you don't take bold action, nothing will change. You can visualize a healthy body, but if you don't eat right and exercise, it remains just a fantasy. And here's another key. Don't see things worse than they are. Some people love to dramatize their struggles. They say, I'll never succeed. Nothing ever works out for me. My situation is hopeless. But that kind of thinking kills faith. It magnifies problems instead of solutions. No matter how bad things are, they are never as bad as they seem, and they are always fixable with the right mindset and effort. At the same time, don't see things as more than they can realistically become. There's a fine line between faith and foolishness. Some people make unrealistic leaps without preparation, expecting miracles without effort. Yes, you can become wealthy, but not overnight. Yes, you can transform your health, but it won't happen in a week. Faith must be backed by patience, strategy, and persistence. Believe in big things, but also respect the process. Now here's the final key to mastering faith. Take the first step, even if you can't see the whole path. Many people hesitate to move forward because they want certainty. They want guarantees. But life doesn't work that way. The path unfolds as you move forward. It's like driving a car at night. You can only see a few feet ahead, but as you keep driving, the road continues to reveal itself. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. So ask yourself, what do you see for your future? Do you only see your current limitations, or can you visualize something greater? Can you see yourself stronger, more successful, more confident, more fulfilled? If not, that's where you must start. Because if you can't see it, you'll never create it. Starting today, raise your standards. Stop settling for what is, and start believing in what could be. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in your abilities. Have faith that life will reward you when you take action. See it, believe it, work for it. Because those who master the law of faith don't just dream about a better life, they create it. Number 4, the law of use. One of the greatest tragedies in life is wasted potential. So many people have talent, intelligence, and opportunities, yet they fail to use them. They let their skills fade, their minds weaken, and their dreams slip away. And then years later, they look back and wonder where it all went. But the truth is, whatever you don't use, you lose. This is not an opinion, it's a law. It applies to your body, your mind, your finances, your relationships, and every other aspect of your life. If you don't strengthen it, it weakens. If you don't grow it, it dies. Think about your physical health. If you stop using your muscles, what happens? They shrink. You become weaker, slower, and more fragile. The same is true for your mental strength. If you don't challenge your mind, if you don't read, learn, or think critically, it deteriorates. People don't suddenly wake up one day lacking confidence, discipline, or intelligence. It happens over time, through neglect. A skill that isn't used will eventually disappear. A talent that isn't practiced will eventually fade. An opportunity that isn't seized will eventually vanish. Take a look at highly successful people. What do they all have in common? They constantly use and develop their skills. They don't just rely on what they already know. They push themselves to grow, to improve, to evolve. They understand that stagnation is the beginning of decline. If you're not actively improving, you're getting worse. There is no standing still in life. You're either moving forward or falling behind. This law applies to your financial life as well. Have you ever heard stories of people who win the lottery, only to lose it all within a few years? Why does this happen? It's because they never developed the ability to manage wealth. Money, like any other resource, must be used wisely, or it disappears. If you don't learn how to invest, budget, and create financial discipline, no amount of money will save you from poverty. It's not about what you get, it's about what you keep and grow. And what about relationships? Friendships, marriages, and partnerships all follow the law of use. If you don't invest time, energy, and care into your relationships, they weaken. People drift apart, connections fade, and love turns into indifference. You can't expect a relationship to thrive if you don't nurture it. Neglect leads to loss. Now let's talk about ambition. So many people start with big dreams. They're excited, motivated, and full of energy. But over time, life happens. They get comfortable, they stop pushing themselves, they let distractions take over, and little by little, their ambition fades. One day they wake up and realize they've been living the same year over and over again, never making progress. Why? Because they stopped using their ambition. They stopped challenging themselves. And when you stop using something, you lose it. But here's the good news. Just as neglect leads to loss, consistent use leads to growth. The more you use a skill, the sharper it becomes. The more you train your body, the stronger it gets. The more you challenge your mind, the sharper your thinking becomes. The more effort you put into your relationships, the deeper they grow. Whatever you use, you strengthen. Now think about the areas of your life where you've been neglecting your potential. Are there skills you once had but haven't practiced in years? Are there dreams you once had but let fade away? Are there goals you set but never followed through on? It's time to bring them back. Here's a simple but powerful exercise. Take an inventory of your talents, skills, and opportunities. Write down the things you used to be good at but have ignored. Write down the goals you once had but abandoned. Write down the relationships that need more attention. Then make a commitment. Start using them again. Even if you've lost some progress, even if it feels uncomfortable at first, start small and rebuild. Because here's the truth. It's never too late to get it back. Yes, unused abilities weaken, but they are not gone forever. You can revive them. You can rebuild your confidence. You can retrain your mind. You can reignite your ambition. But you must start now. This is why raising your standards is critical. The moment you expect more from yourself, you start using what you've been neglecting. You start demanding more from your body, your mind, your career, and your relationships. You stop settling for less. And once you start using what you have, you'll be amazed at how quickly you regain it and how much further you can go. So don't wait. Take action today. Use your strengths or lose them. Grow your skills or watch them fade. Push yourself or fall behind. The law of use is not optional. It's happening right now, whether you realize it or not. The question is, will you use it to your advantage or let it work against you? The choice is yours. Number 5, the 80-20 rule. One of the biggest reasons people fail to reach their full potential is because they focus on too many things that don't matter. They spread themselves thin, chasing every opportunity, reacting to every distraction, trying to be everywhere at once. As a result, they feel overwhelmed, exhausted, and frustrated because despite all their effort, they don't see real progress. But here's the truth. Not everything you do is equally important. Some actions produce massive results, while others make almost no difference at all. This is where the 80-20 rule comes into play. The 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, states that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. This principle applies to nearly every area of life. In business, 20% of customers generate 80% of revenue. In relationships, 20% of the people in your life contribute to 80% of your happiness. In productivity, 20% of your tasks produce 80% of your progress. And in learning, 20% of what you study leads to 80% of your understanding. The problem is, most people spend too much time on the 80% that only brings them 20% of the results. They focus on minor details, waste hours on low-value activities, and put energy into things that don't move them forward. Think about your daily routine. How much of your time is spent on things that truly create progress? How many hours are lost scrolling through social media, watching random videos, responding to unimportant messages, or engaging in conversations that add no value? Most people stay busy, but being busy is not the same as being productive. The most successful people in the world understand this. They focus on the few things that truly matter and eliminate everything else. The secret to success isn't working harder, it's working smarter. It's about identifying the 20% of activities that create the biggest impact and doubling down on them. Let's say you're in sales, and you realize that out of all your efforts, the majority of your revenue comes from just a handful of key clients. Instead of chasing hundreds of unqualified leads, what if you focused your energy on strengthening relationships with your most valuable customers? Instead of trying to be good at everything, what if you mastered the 1 or 2 skills that truly set you apart? Instead of saying yes to every opportunity, what if you carefully selected only the ones that aligned with your highest goals? Here's the challenge. Most people are pulled toward the wrong side of the equation. The 80%, the distractions, The small tasks, the meaningless activities, demand attention. They make you feel busy, but they don't move you forward. The hardest skill to develop is the ability to say no to things that don't truly matter. It's learning to let go of the minor tasks that keep you occupied, but not productive. Look at any successful company, athlete, or entrepreneur, and you'll see this principle in action. They don't try to do everything. They focus on their strengths. A great basketball player doesn't try to master every position on the court. They double down on their key skills. A top business leader doesn't try to handle every aspect of their company. They focus on the few high-level decisions that drive growth. A world-class musician doesn't play every instrument. They master one or two to perfection. They understand that greatness comes from focusing on what truly matters, not spreading themselves too thin. So how do you apply the 80-20 rule to your life? First, identify the 20% of your actions that are creating the biggest results. Look at your goals and ask yourself, what are the few things that, if done consistently, would create the biggest breakthroughs? Then be ruthless in cutting out the unnecessary. Delegate, eliminate, or automate the 80% of activities that only bring minimal results. Your time, energy, and focus are your most valuable resources. Don't waste them on things that don't move you forward. This principle also applies to your relationships. Not everyone in your life adds value. Some people lift you up, challenge you, and help you grow. Others drain your energy, waste your time, and pull you away from your goals. If 80% of your happiness comes from 20% of the people in your life, shouldn't you invest more time with those who truly matter? Surround yourself with people who inspire you, push you to be better, and hold you to a higher standard. The same rule applies to learning and self-improvement. You don't need to consume endless amounts of information. You need to focus on the small percentage of knowledge that creates real transformation. Most people read dozens of books but apply none of what they learn. Instead of reading everything, focus on mastering the key lessons that can truly change your life. The 80-20 rule is one of the most powerful success principles, yet most people ignore it. They think hard work alone will bring success, but hard work in the wrong areas is just wasted effort. Success is not about doing more, it's about doing the right things. So starting today, raise your standards. Stop spending time on things that don't matter. Identify the key actions that drive real progress and put all your energy into them. Be ruthless in eliminating distraction. Focus on quality over quantity. Because when you master the 80-20 rule, you don't just work harder, you work smarter. And that's what separates the average from the exceptional. Number 6, the power of persistence. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is rarely talent, intelligence, or resources. It almost always comes down to one thing: persistence. The ability to keep going when things get tough, to stay committed even when results don't show up immediately, and to push forward despite obstacles. That's what separates winners from everyone else. Most people give up too soon. They start a project, a business, a workout plan, a new habit, and when they don't see instant success, they quit. But the truth is, nothing great happens overnight. Every breakthrough, every achievement, every success story is built on persistence. The refusal to quit, no matter what. Life is full of challenges. No matter how talented you are, no matter how smart you are, no matter how many resources you have, you will face setbacks. There will be times when nothing seems to be working, when everything feels stacked against you. This is where most people stop. They assume the struggle is a sign to give up. But the reality is, setbacks are just part of the process. Every successful person has faced failure, rejection, and disappointment. The difference, they didn't let it stop them. They understood that success is a long game, and persistence is the price of admission. Think about a farmer planting seeds. He works hard, prepares the soil, plants the seeds, waters them, and waits. But the next day, there's nothing. The day after that, still nothing. Weeks go by, and still he sees no results. But the farmer doesn't panic. He doesn't dig up the seeds to check if they're growing. He doesn't quit and walk away. He understands that growth happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible. And then one day, the plants start to emerge. This is how success works. You put in the effort, you stay consistent, And even when you don't see results, you keep going. Because the growth is happening, even if you can't see it yet. Now let's be clear. Persistence is not just about stubbornly repeating the same mistakes. It's about adjusting, learning, and improving while staying committed. If something isn't working, you don't just keep doing it blind. You adapt, refine your approach, and keep moving forward. Persistence is not about banging your head against a wall. It's about finding another way through the wall. One of the biggest enemies of persistence is impatience. People want quick results. They expect overnight success. And when things take longer than expected, they lose motivation. But success is a slow process. It takes time to build skills, develop expertise, and see the rewards of your efforts. The problem is never that success takes too long. The problem is that most people quit too soon. Let's look at some real-life examples. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, failed over 10,000 times before he found the right design. When asked how he felt about failing so many times, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's persistence. Most people would have given up after 10 attempts, maybe 50. But Edison understood that failure was just feedback. He didn't see setbacks as a reason to quit. He saw them as part of the journey. The same pattern can be seen in sports. Michael Jordan, widely considered the greatest basketball player of all time, was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine that. One of the greatest athletes in history was once told he wasn't good enough. Most people would have accepted that and moved on. But Jordan didn't. He used it as fuel. He trained harder, pushed himself beyond his limits, and eventually became a legend. And what about business? How many times did entrepreneurs like Walt Disney, Steve Jobs, or Henry Ford fail before they succeeded? Disney was fired from a newspaper job because he was told he lacked imagination. Ford went bankrupt multiple times before he revolutionized the automobile industry. The common thread? They didn't stop. They kept going. Now let's talk about you. How many times have you started something and given up too soon? How many opportunities have you missed because you quit before the breakthrough? The reality is, the biggest rewards in life go to those who refuse to give up. But here's something important. Persistence is not just about working hard. It's also about believing that success is possible. If you don't believe in the outcome, you won't have the patience to stay the course. That's why raising your standards is so important. When you expect more from yourself, when you set a higher bar, you naturally develop the persistence to reach it. So how do you develop unshakable persistence? First, know your why. If your goal is just a casual interest, you won't push through when things get tough. But if you have a strong reason, a deep personal motivation, you will keep going no matter what. Second, embrace failure as part of the journey. Stop seeing setbacks as final. Instead, see them as lessons, as stepping stones toward your goal. Third, stay consistent, even when progress is invisible. Just like the farmer, trust that growth is happening beneath the surface. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who never face challenges. They are the ones who refuse to let challenges define them. They didn't quit when things got hard. They kept going. They pushed forward. They adapted, adjusted, and persisted until they won. And now it's your turn. Whatever you're working toward, whether it's a business, a dream, a goal, or a personal transformation, don't stop. Don't let temporary setbacks make you give up on something permanent. Because if you keep going, if you persist long enough, success is not just possible, it's inevitable. Number 7. How to raise your standards and transform your life. Everything in your life right now, your success, your happiness, your finance, your relationships, is a reflection of the standards you've set for yourself. If you are not where you want to be, it's not because you're unlucky or incapable, it's because you've accepted less than you deserve. The key to transforming your life is simple. Raise your standards. Decide that you will no longer tolerate mediocrity. Decide that you will expect more from yourself. Because once you raise your standards, everything changes. Raising your standards doesn't mean making a wish list of things you want. It means making a firm decision about what you will no longer accept in your life. There's a big difference between wanting something and committing to it. Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to be in great shape. Everyone wants financial freedom, but very few people commit to it. And that's the difference. Your life will not change until you make success non-negotiable. Think about it. If you've ever met someone who is incredibly disciplined with their health, you'll notice something: they don't try to eat healthy. They just do. It's part of their identity. They don't hope to exercise. They make it a priority, because for them, being healthy is not an option. It's a standard. Now compare that to someone who constantly struggles with their fitness. They tell themselves, "I should work out, or I'll start eating better soon." But because they only should and don't must, nothing changes. Their standard is low, so their results remain low. This applies to every area of life. If you want to be financially free, but you accept living paycheck to paycheck, nothing will change. If you want a strong, fulfilling relationship, but settle for toxic or unfulfilling connections, nothing will change. If you want to be successful but keep tolerating distractions, procrastination, and laziness, nothing will change. You get what you tolerate. The moment you stop tolerating excuses and low effort, you start demanding more from yourself, and when you demand more, you achieve more. The question is, how do you raise your standards? How do you go from hoping for success to expecting it? It starts with one simple step: change your identity. Your standards are not just about what you do, they are about who you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who is disciplined, focused, and hardworking, you will act accordingly. But if you see yourself as someone who struggles, hesitates, and always falls short, you will continue to reinforce that identity. Your actions will always match your identity. So the first thing you must do is redefine how you see yourself. Start telling yourself a new story. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at discipline," start saying, "I am someone who follows through." Instead of saying, "I've never been good with money," start saying, "I am someone who makes smart financial choices." Your words shape your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your standards. If you want to change your life, start by changing the way you talk about yourself. Next, you must demand more from yourself in the small things. People think success is about making one big decision, but it's not. It's about the daily choices you make. Do you wake up early or hit snooze? Do you go to the gym or skip it? Do you work on your goals or waste time? Every small decision is shaping your future. If you can't raise your standards in the little things, you'll never be able to raise them in the big things. Excellence is built in the details. One of the best ways to raise your standards is to change your environment. Your standards are influenced by the people around you. If you surround yourself with people who are disciplined and striving for greatness, your standards will naturally rise. But if you surround yourself with people who complain, make excuses, and settle for mediocrity, you will start to do the same. Your environment shapes your habits. If you want to elevate your life, elevate the people you spend time with. Another critical step is to set higher expectations for yourself. Stop settling for good enough. Good enough is the enemy of greatness. If you expect average results, that's exactly what you'll get. But if you demand excellence from yourself, you will start to operate at a higher level. Set goals that challenge you. Push yourself beyond what's comfortable. Hold yourself accountable to a higher standard. And most importantly, follow through. Because a standard means nothing if you don't uphold it. Finally, understand this. Raising your standards is a lifelong process. It's not something you do once and forget about. You must constantly push yourself to improve, to grow, to reach new levels. The moment you stop pushing, you start slipping. That's why the most successful people never stop learning, never stop training, and never stop striving for more. They know that the only way to stay at the top is to keep raising the bar. So ask yourself, what have I been tolerating in my life? What excuses have I accepted? What habits have I let slide? And most importantly, what new standards will I set starting today? Because your life will rise to the level of your expectations. If you expect more, you will get more. If you demand more, you will achieve more. Starting today, raise your standards. Stop hoping for success and start expecting it. Stop accepting mediocrity and start demanding excellence. Make the decision that you will no longer settle for anything less than your best. Because once you do that, everything in your life will start to change. The life you are living today is a direct result of the standards you have set for yourself. If you look around and see a reality that doesn't match your desires, the solution is simple. Raise your standards. Stop settling for less than you are capable of. Stop making excuses. Stop tolerating habits, thoughts, and behaviors that keep you stuck. Because nothing changes until you change what you demand from yourself. Think about this. Every great success story started with a decision. A moment when someone said, "I refuse to accept this as my life." They drew a line in the sand and decided that from that moment on, they would expect more, work harder, and push further. That decision changed everything. And today you have that same choice. But raising your standards is not just about making a bold declaration. It's about consistent action. It's about waking up every day and making decisions that align with the life you want to create. It's about planting the right seeds, staying persistent, and trusting that even when results aren't immediate, growth is happening beneath the surface. It's about surrounding yourself with people who elevate you, focusing on what truly matters, and refusing to quit when things get tough. Understand this. Success is not about luck, talent, or circumstances. It's about what you are willing to demand from yourself. If you expect mediocrity, that's what you'll get. If you expect greatness, you will find a way to achieve it. So what will you do now? Will you continue living by the same standards that have brought you here? Or will you decide right now to step up, take control, and create a new reality for yourself? Today is the day you set a new standard. Today is the day you commit to something greater. Today is the day you stop accepting less and start demanding more. Because once you raise your standards, you don't just change your results, you change your entire life.